Hi everybody, I'm Rockin' Robin. Today I am making an appetizer for you of asparagus wrapped in prosciutto, some fresh mango, and cream cheese. And we're going to season up the cream cheese with a little bit of onion flakes and fresh basil. And I tell you, we're going to roast it in the oven, and out comes a delicious appetizer you're going to want to try. So I'll show you how to do it right after this. So I want to mention that this recipe is really nice for entertaining because you can do a lot of it ahead of time. In fact, we could prepare the whole thing, get it all assembled, keep it in the fridge, let it sit out a little bit before we put it in the oven to cook, and it frees you up. So that being said, let's go over the ingredients. So here's what we're going to need. All right, the first thing is the prosciutto. I've got about 1/3 of a pound there, and it's very thinly sliced. And here's a mango. So I have some mango spears, which I'm actually going to be cutting these even a little bit smaller so they fit in with our asparagus. We'll need some olive oil. I've got some dried onion flakes, some cream cheese, some fresh basil here, which I'm going to chiffonade in a minute, and I'll show you that, and some fresh asparagus. First thing we're going to do is trim up our asparagus. So I'm just going to snap off the ends. So just remember, when you trim, you grab your stalk and you just grab it near the end that you want to cut off, where the rough is, and you just start to snap it, and it will break where it starts to be tender. And next we're going to give these a rinse, and what we're going to do is we're going to blanch these for 1 minute, maybe 1.5 minutes. All that's going to do is cook these just a little bit so they're tender and they come out done, because when we roast them in the oven, we're only roasting them for about 8 minutes. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, like I said, is to blanch our asparagus. Now, our asparagus is, I would consider medium size, so we're going to blanch them for 1.5 minutes. If you had pencil-sized asparagus, I would go for 1 minute, and if you had the really fat ones, I'd go 2 minutes. So make sure your water is boiling first, like I have here, and then you're going to want to place your asparagus, into the pan. Set your timer for exactly 1.5 minutes. And we're going to use a fork to test it. Now, I also want to mention you need to have an ice water bath set aside ready to go, because 1.5 minutes goes really quick. So that's what I have over here, a nice pot of ice water. So I'm going to plunge the cooked asparagus into that to stop the cooking process. That's really important. So we're going to just keep these in the ice bath until they are cold. It'll just take a minute or two. The asparagus are now cool enough to take out. So I'm just going to sit them on a paper towel covered plate here to drain, and then I'm going to pat them dry. So now I'm going to go ahead and prepare the cream cheese filling. So I'm going to add the onion flakes to the cream cheese, and I'm going to add the basil. So I'm going to go ahead and chiffonade that, which means I'm going to roll the leaves together and just make some nice little slices. This makes long ribbons, so I'm going to cut it in the other direction as well. This fresh basil, I tell you, gives it such a nice fresh flavor. You're going to love it. So we'll just add that right there, give it a mix, and then just set it aside. Now we'll move on to our mango slices, which already are in spears. And by the way, you can find a video of mine where I show you how to cut up a mango nice and easy. So I'll leave a link for you right over here maybe, and you can check that out if you'd like to see that. Anyway, so these pieces are a little bit big for what I want to use here. So what I'm going to do is just cut these in half again. We don't want to overpower our asparagus, we just want to flavor it with some nice mango. The last thing we need to prepare for this dish is the prosciutto. We want to get it into the right size. Now keep your prosciutto in the refrigerator until you're ready to actually start cutting it and rolling it. It's just much easier to work with. Now also make sure you have your oven preheated to 455 degrees Fahrenheit, and get yourself a nice baking pan such as this one, which is what we're going to be cooking our asparagus on in the oven. Here is your prosciutto. And if you're not that familiar with it, it's a very, very thinly sliced, or it should be, like an Italian, it's like an Italian ham. And it's salty, and it's delicious, and it's expensive. what I'm going to do is take one piece here, this is how big it is, and that one's a little bit small, but I'm going to cut it into thirds lengthwise because I want that length so I can roll it up. So I'm going to cut 3 strips that look like, you know, like this, okay? And when we roll this up, we're going to roll it up like a candy cane, and I have a reason for that. All right, so we'll slice these all up, get them all ready, and we'll be ready to assemble. So now you're going to want to brush a little bit of olive oil on your baking dish so that things don't stick. Now to put these together, I'm going to start with the cream cheese, grab an asparagus spear, and I'm just going to place a little bit of asparagus, putting a little mound, depending on how much cheese you like, but that should do it. I mean, that should be a good amount, all right? I'm going to grab a piece of prosciutto, lay it down in this fashion. Then you're going to grab a spear of the mango, and I'm just going to roll this up. Now, I mentioned before that you're going to do sort of a candy cane style wrap, and that's so that you get the prosciutto up and down the whole asparagus spear instead of just in one spot. So then, because then it can be a little bit too salty in one area. So just, let's see here, lay it over, and then you're just going to roll it at an angle. You see how I did that? It can be a little messy because of the cream cheese and how much you get on there, but just wrap it around like that and place it on your sheet. So here's a tip when you're rolling these up. The cream cheese kind of wants to fall off a little bit, so keep this end over here elevated so it doesn't touch the board. Otherwise the cream cheese is going to want to fall off. So keep it elevated as you roll. You see how I got my hand underneath it? I'm not letting it touch. And that prosciutto is going to keep everything inside just like that. So it's much easier that way. The last thing we need to do before putting these in the oven is to just take a little bit of olive oil and brush the tips and the ends of the asparagus. That way they won't burn and dry out. We want them to stay nice and moist. Now this is going to go in the oven, like I said before. We're going to cook these for about 8 minutes, and certainly no more than 10. If you leave it in too long, the prosciutto I think gets a little too crispy. I just took these out of the oven. They were in there for exactly 8 minutes. I didn't leave them a second over, and I think they're perfectly done. And remember guys, these can be served hot or cold. So if they start out hot here, you know, it's fine. As they cool, they're still gonna taste absolutely wonderful. So I'm just placing them on my dish over here so you can see them a little better. And hopefully they'll cool off so that I can eat one. I think these have cooled enough. I am going to take a bite. Come on, stay together here. Come on. Man, those are good. Guys, you're gonna love them. They're great. Guys, I hope you will try this recipe. Let me know how you like it if you do. I always love to hear from you guys. And that's it, you know? So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps you. I hope it inspires you to make some of these. Use that mango. Grilled mango is amazingly good too, so it goes perfect with this. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click that button right up there. You'll be getting some new videos from me every week, and feel free to share this on your favorite social media. It really helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. So thanks again, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.